The geopolitical chessboard of the Middle East is always tense. But in recent hours, the heat has escalated dramatically in Syria, a country that has become the epicenter of confrontation between two major powers, Russia and Turkey. Moscow has launched a massive military reinforcement deploying ships, armored units, and for the first time, highly advanced missile systems like the Iskander-M. For Ankara, this is not a routine troop rotation. It is a direct provocation threatening their strategic interest in the region. Today, we will break down this escalation. Why is Russia solidifying its presence in Syria? How has Turkey reacted with ultimatums and a swift diplomatic offensive? And why could this military standoff spiral into direct conflict? Diplomacy is fraying, rhetoric is hardening, and the risk of a full-scale confrontation is rising. Syria has become a powder keg ready to ignite at the slightest spark. In the past few days, the international community has focused on a development that could shift the strategic balance in the Middle East. A notable surge in Russian military activity in Syria. On the night of August 6th, Russian-flagged transport ships approached strategic Syrian ports, while Moscow's military aviation intensified flights to the Umaymim and Ts bases, ferrying weapons and personnel. Syrian military sources confirm a significant increase in the supply of armaments and troop deployments from Russia. This movement unsettles not only Syrian opposition forces, but also Turkey's key government sectors, closely monitoring every step Moscow takes. Ankara understands that any change in this regional chessboard could have direct repercussions on national security. Military analysts emphasize that Russia does not improvise. Its reinforcement is methodical. Airstrips are modernized, advanced air defense systems installed, and heavy weaponry including Panzer systems and the modern S-350 have been deployed. Russian helicopters are intensifying patrols along the Syrian-Turkish border, and satellite imagery confirms the deployment of heavy armored vehicles. For Turkey, these maneuvers represent a direct violation of prior understandings with Moscow. Historically, Ankara has maintained a balancing role in Syria, supporting the opposition while containing Kurdish militia expansion. Yet Russia's growing dominance in northern and western Syria is seen by Turkish analysts as an immediate threat. In response to this escalation, the Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a formal protest to Moscow, demanding explanations for the accelerated deployment. Publicly, Russia has remained silent, offering only generic statements about personnel rotations. But behind this diplomatic facade lies a clear geopolitical standoff. Moscow is fully aware that Turkey is not the only observer. NATO watches every move closely. Still, the Kremlin seems determined to preempt Ankara from gaining influence in key areas. Political experts suggest that this is not merely a show of force. It is a strategic play to consolidate Russia's position in the Middle East, taking advantage of the region's renewed status as a hotspot of geopolitical competition following deteriorating relations with the West. Turkey's reaction was swift and decisive. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan publicly demanded that Russia halt operations near Turkish-controlled zones, warning that Ankara would not tolerate any disruption to regional stability. In an emergency meeting of the National Security Council, top military officials, key ministers, and intelligence chiefs discussed possible retaliatory measures, including temporarily blocking Turkish airspace to Russian military aircraft and increasing Turkey's troop presence in northern Syria. Simultaneously, Ankara sought diplomatic backing from Washington and London and launched a global information offensive, accusing Russia of upsetting the territorial balance. Turkey even requested an extraordinary UN Security Council meeting to formally condemn Russia's stance and demand sanctions. Domestically, the news stirred public opinion. Nationalists demanded strong action, while opposition parties accused Erdogan of leading Turkey into this precarious position through an unstrategic foreign policy. Russia, meanwhile, maintained a calculatedly cool tone. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov emphasized that all actions are coordinated with Syria's legitimate government. Indeed, the Syrian government itself has requested Russian patrols in southern provinces to limit Israeli activity, a detail that adds layers of complexity to this geopolitical puzzle. The real flashpoint, however, is the deployment of advanced missile systems near Turkish-controlled areas. Satellite intelligence reveals that, in the Hama province, Turkey's northern operational zones are now threatened by air defense systems capable of controlling the air corridor frequently used by Turkish aircraft and drones. Most strikingly, for the first time in Syria, The Iskander-M ballistic missile system has been deployed alongside S-400 anti-aircraft batteries, relocated from other strategic positions. Russia appears intent on creating a dense aerial defense bubble, effectively dominating Syrian airspace. For Turkey, this threatens the freedom to operate its planes and drones, pillars of its regional strategy. Turkey's response was immediate. Air maneuvers near the border intensified, reconnaissance flights over Idlib and Aleppo increased, and internal discussions considered declaring parts of Syrian airspace as restricted, allowing only Turkish-led coalition operations. Meanwhile, Damascus fully backs Moscow's actions. Any miscalculated bombing or attack on a military post could trigger a large-scale conflict. The absence of direct military communication channels between Moscow and Ankara heightens the risk of any maneuver being perceived as a provocation. Both powers are seeking to strengthen alliances. Russia relies on Iran and Syrian forces, while Turkey coordinates diplomatically with NATO. Yet Washington has made it clear it does not seek direct confrontation with Russia in Syria, even while Turkey is a NATO member. The escalation is not limited to the battlefield. Diplomatically, Turkey summoned the Russian ambassador demanding explanations and suspended the accreditation of Russian diplomats and military attachés. Moscow responded reciprocally, reducing Turkey's diplomatic presence in Russia. Civilian and commercial channels were also affected. Flight restrictions, suspended tourism and trade agreements, and heightened embassy security have created an atmosphere of mutual distrust. The information war is underway. Russian media accuse Turkey of supporting terrorist groups in Syria, while Turkish outlets denounce Russian expansionism and threats to national sovereignty. In this volatile context, even a single patrol movement or missile deployment can ignite open conflict. Reports indicate that Turkey has already deployed additional armored units, sending Moscow an unmistakable message. Ankara is prepared to defend its interests, even at the risk of direct confrontation. Military sources confirm plans for a joint operation with Syrian militias under Turkish control, a maneuver perceived as a direct warning to Moscow. Attempts at UN-mediated negotiation have yielded no tangible progress. Moscow insists its actions are legitimate under agreements with Syria, while Ankara maintains Russia is violating international law. Accusations fly in both directions. Dialogue is absent, and tensions continue to rise on the ground. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov broke the silence, declaring that Russia will not withdraw from Syria and will defend its troops and its ally. We will not answer to third countries, especially when combating terrorism, he emphasized. In Moscow, the declaration was perceived as a direct threat. Members of the Duma went further. Syria is not Turkish territory, and every Turkish soldier on Syrian soil is an occupier, they stated. Shortly after, Russian Su-34 and Su-25 aircraft increased patrols near Idlib and Aleppo, sending a clear signal. Moscow is ready for military engagement and will not relinquish control over strategic zones. Experts predict that Russia may also pursue an international discrediting campaign against Turkey, portraying it as a sponsor of extremist groups and blocking Turkish initiatives at the UN. Erdogan faces a dilemma. Domestic pressure demands assertive action, but a direct confrontation with Russia and Syria could have disastrous consequences. Syria has become a diplomatic and military minefield, where any misstep could ignite open conflict. Russia and Turkey are not only contesting territorial control, they are testing the resilience of their alliances and their ability to sustain a prolonged confrontation in one of the world's most volatile regions. Russia remains, strengthening its strategic presence in silence. Its bases in Latakia and Tartus serve as critical points of supply and transit to Africa, ensuring fuel, food, and logistical support for Russian operations. Though Russia also has bases in Libya, its long-established presence in Syria offers unmatched strategic advantages. The Syrian government now sees these Russian bases as vital to its security. The debate is open. How do you see the unfolding situation? Stay informed, question narratives, and weigh every geopolitical move carefully. The chessboard is set, the pieces are in motion, and the stakes could not be higher.